So it's Tuesday, February 20th, and we arrived in Granada last night after driving down from Madrid. Alright, so we're in the newer section. It's where our hotel is, and then we're going to walk over to the old town. It was easier to find parking here, so that's why I took a hotel in this neighborhood. So it's February here today, but the weather's maybe started out in the 30s, but it'll be, now it's about 40. This afternoon it's supposed to be in the 50s. It's taking random video as we walk around Granada. I've done some good graffiti in Spain. Whoops. There's the traditional mantilla that they wear on the head. We're at the Plaza Bib Rambla. We're gonna do a little walking tour starting from here using the guidebook. So this street is the old silk market. I think those are reconstructed arches. The Moorish silk market. So this is a 14th century Moorish structure. It used to be lodging for merchants, and then they used it to store coal later on. Okay, so this is the Capilla Real where Ferdinand and Isabella are entombed. We're gonna go in a minute. Built around 1500 or so. So unfortunately I wasn't allowed to video inside the chapel, but in there we were able to see the tombs of Ferdinand and Isabel and some of their artifacts, like Ferdinand's sword and their robes, and then there were a lot of paintings, Catholic paintings from the Middle Ages. So now I'm just walking around. This is the Cathedral of Granada. Charles V didn't think the Royal Chapel was big enough for his grandparents to be buried, Ferdinand and Isabel, so he built this, but they never got moved here. One of the many kebab houses. Alright, we're inside the Los Diamantes. This place is mentioned in all of the guidebooks. You buy a drink and you get a free tapas. Fried anchovy. Anyway, I think this is the Palace of Justice. This might be where they held the Inquisition. Too big to get in there. Okay, this is the Plaza Nueva and the Palace of Justice. Statue of Queen Isabella. Alright, so this is the Rialto section of Granada. I believe it was the Jewish neighborhood at one time. Alright, so we ate in the newer version of Los Diamantes, but this looks like the original. Very good. Here's a real Granada tapas house. Buy a drink, get a tapas. Walking around Rialto, the old Jewish neighborhood of Granada, now filled with restaurants and tea houses. Looks like an old authentic bar. Alright, so we're having some ice cream in the Rialto neighborhood. Sitting in a plaza in Granada. The weather warmed up now. It's probably in the 50s, maybe 60 degrees. Okay, so I believe that's a Jewish scholar from the 12th century, Yehuda ben Tibon. We rode the bus up into the Albaicin neighborhood. Okay, so we took the bus up to the famous Mirador San Nicolas, a popular hangout spot. Just get a nice view of the Alhambra. Alright, so here's one of the most famous views in the world. The Alhambra with the snow-capped Sierra Nevada mountains in the back of it. A view over Granada. Alright, so standing up on the Mirador San Nicolas, looking out at the Alhambra and the Sierra Nevada mountains. So the Albaicin neighborhood is where the Moorish people lived even after the Christian reconquest, and still a lot of more people from North African descent living up here, and gypsies as well. Alright, so sitting down for a beer at this little restaurant near the Mirador. Okay, so now we're walking around some of the back streets of the Albaicin, the Moorish neighborhood of Granada. Now that's what I call tapas. Oh, there's a Jewish star on the door there. Apparently, there was a synagogue here, maybe, or home of a Jewish man. All it needs is a letter H. Okay, and we're walking down the hill now in the Albasan. Not an easy place to drive. Okay, now we're lower down on the hill, getting a different perspective. That's the Casa Morsica. I almost got a reservation there, but I decided it would be too hard to drive to it. So the whitewashed village of the Albasan. There's a big Moorish style archway gate entrance to the Albasan. So it's Wednesday morning, February 21st. We're waiting for the bus to take us to the center of town, and then from there we take a bus up to the Alhambra. Today is our day. We have to be there by 2 o'clock. Waiting for the bus. And took a run this morning up to the top, to the Albasan, up the hill. We're in Puerta Real, Plaza Puerta Real. We had gotten on the wrong bus, so I had to take another bus to get here. Okay, so we're on the bus C3 on the way to the Alhambra. We had to catch the bus at near the Plaza Isabella Católica. Alright, so we were lucky the C3 bus was there waiting, and now we're going into the Alhambra. At the Alhambra there's four things to see. There's the Alcazaba, which is an old fortress, the Generalife, which is the gardens, which we hopefully will see later, and then the Nazareth Palace, which is the main thing to see, the beautiful architected building with all the Muslim design. So we have to wait till 2 o'clock to go into the Nazareth Palace. This here is the palace that got built by King Carlos after the Reconquest in the 1500s. Okay, so this is the palace that Ferdinand's and Isabella's grandson, King Carlos V, built on the grounds of the Alhambra after they conquered the Alhambra and kicked out the Moors. Typically, that's what they do. They conquer and then they build their own church or palace. So the inside of the building is round, the outside is square. It's a circle inside a square. It's Renaissance style. Alright, just waiting for our time to go to the Nazareth, and we're in the Carlos V Palace. Okay, so there's the Mirador San Nicolas that we were at yesterday, looking across to here, to the Alhambra. Now we're on this side at the Alhambra looking to the Mirador. And that's the Albaicin neighborhood where the Moors were living, Muslims were living after the Reconquest. Well, I guess they were living there till they got kicked out, along with our people. Tight security at the Alhambra.
Copian, imitan y vuelven a colocar versos.
They stayed ahead. Alright, you can see all the intricate carvings. So the design is all letters from the Quran, or words. I think it says Allahu Akbar, something to that effect. So this was a Moorish palace for over 250 years until they were evicted. So now we're in the patio of lions, they call it. So on a hot summer day, it would be cool in here and relaxing with the water running. the grounds of the Alhambra. Very beautiful gardens. I think this wall maybe went all the way around the property at one time. Gomez is the name of the street. There's another little palace back here in the gardens, the Generalife Palace.
¿Qué? No, Cirilo, ¿qué?
This is the entrance from the Generalife. Puerta de Bibrambla. We're walking back down to the center of town. Alright, so we just walked down from the Alhambra. There's an archway coming into the town. Calle Gomez, the street that leads up. Okay, so we're in near the Puerto Real section of Granada. So they have nice apartments here, kind of like, I guess, Fifth Avenue. We're waiting for a bus. It's pretty cold today. It's Thursday morning. We checked out of our Granada hotel, the Cirque Hotel, and we're going to spend a little more time. We left our bags there. We're going to try to see some of the things we haven't seen before heading to Cordoba. Some Spanish people are tall. Okay, riding the bus in Granada to the center city. Alright, so from our hotel we took the SN3 bus about 10 minutes, and we're now at the Puerto Real. We were here yesterday, but we were running to get somewhere else. So this area apparently is one of the more luxurious parts of Granada. It's just outside the old area, but this is more modern. There's a nice walkway which leads to another fountain down there. There's a beautiful building. I don't know exactly what it is. This is a beautiful building, I think from the 16th century, maybe St. Anne's. I'm going to ask somebody. St. Anna. The Consejo Consultivo de Andalucía. An ornate building, probably from the Renaissance. Alright, so we have a very nice plaza here outside of that consulate building. So this is the Plaza Campillo Bajo. So we're walking on this walkway here. We're walking on the Carrera de la Virgen in Granada near the Puerta Real. Alright, so this church is alongside the Carrera, but it's not that old, 1922. So there's the name of this walkway. I think around here Carrera means street, they don't use the word calle. There's a fountain at each end of the walkway. So on top of that fountain is a split pomegranate, which symbolizes the defeat of the Moors. Because the Moors used the pomegranate as a symbol. This is the Darro River, and the bridge is reminiscent of a Roman bridge, but I don't think it's that old.
That's Calle de la... Serious?
Wait. The older people in Spain tend to dress pretty elegantly, I noticed. So Dunkin' Donuts and Burger King have found a home in Spain. Okay, a car-free zone here in Granada. This is the Jardín Botánico, Botanical Garden of the University of Granada. Alright, not too big, but a nice place, and there's an interesting looking building. University of Granada. Okay, so walking through the building. University of Granada. Alright, so we're walking to the monastery of San Geronimo. I'm not sure if this is it or this is another one, but whatever it is, it looks pretty old. Anyway, that church I think is called San Pablo, and it dates back to 1599. Here's an old fountain that was probably used at one time to retrieve water. This is in addition to the church. Alright, so this is one of the major sites of Granada, the monastery San Geronimo, started in 1523. I think this is the street we walked down already. It's the, the silk market. This was the old Arab silk market. It's been reconstructed, I believe. This, the stairs that lead up to the Albaicin. The other day we came in by bus, but walking this way is much more interesting. The Albaicin is the old Moorish neighborhood of Granada. So there are a lot of tea houses along this road. Another tea house. I think this is the Granada Cathedral. We were in here the other day, but I didn't see this view. Viewing it from the outside. So I think that's the church we passed before. We're going back to the Geronimo because it was closed when we got there for siesta. Another interesting building. We're inside the St. Geronimo monastery. It's one of the top religious sites in Andalusia. Alright, so we're driving now to Cordoba. I've pulled over to fix my seat.